The resonant peal of wedding bells reverberates through the ancient halls of the Spanish Alcazar, a symphony of celebration that masks a deeper sorrow. Yet, if one strains to listen beyond the joyous clamor, the faint, heartbreaking sobs of a 14-year-old girl emerge, echoes of a destiny imposed upon her without consent. Envision this pivotal moment. Madrid, in the year 1560. A magnificent ceremony unfolds within the cathedral's hallowed confines, adorned with the splendor worthy of monarchs. Nobles clad in opulent silks and velvets crowd the sacred space, their presence a tapestry of power and privilege. Wisps of incense ascend like fervent supplications toward the She approaches him now, enveloped in a gown of cloth of gold, its weight burdensome upon her slender, youthful form, as if the fabric itself symbolized the heavy chains of her new reality. Elizabeth de Valois, once Isabel in the tender familiarity of her friend. If these obscured facets of the past captivate you, the narratives concealed beneath towering monuments and embellished deceptions, consider lending your support by subscribing. Share whence you view this tale, for the voices of the overlooked merit resonance in every realm of our shared world. The calendar turns to 1559, and Europe is ensnared in a vortex of conflict. France and Spain, entangled in a relentless feud for decades, have clashed across the scarred fields of Italy, draining treasuries and leaving French coffers hemorrhage gold into futile campaigns that yield only fields of the fallen. Spanish silver, extracted from the distant New World, vanishes into the abyss of unending strife. The toll has grown intolerable for both realms, yet royal pride, more unyielding than reason. In the opulent shadows of the Château de Saint-Germain-en-Laye, dawn's gentle rays pierce diamond-paned windows, illuminating chambers where a 13-year-old princess engages with delicate ivory dolls, her world a sanctuary of unspoiled purity. Isabel de Valois navigates her days in an innocence so profound it borders on the divine. Her existence unfolds amid tapestried walls where mythical unicorns frolic through embroidered gardens of silk. Tutors impart knowledge in soothing Latin tones, while ladies in waiting share light-hearted mirth over intricate embroidery. She remains oblivious to her impending role as a bargaining token in the costliest accord of the 16th century. Born into the zenith of French courtly splendor, the girl destined to become Spain's most poignant queen entered the world under the auspices of King Henry II, whose domain spanned from the English Channel to the Mediterranean's azure shores. Her mother, Catherine de' Medici, infused the marriage with Italian refinement and the vast fortunes of Florentine banking. Elizabeth matured enveloped in art, melody, verse, and the cultivated elegance that rendered the French court the paragon of European sophistication. By 13, she commanded fluent Latin, performed upon the lute with artistry that enchanted court minstrels, and embroidered with the finesse of a seasoned artisan. Her mentors extolled her keen intellect and serene temperament. The chaplain lauded her devotion. The dance instructor admired her innate poise. In all regards esteemed by those who nurtured her, Isabel de Valois embodied perfection, yet, in the calculus of royal statecraft, such flawlessness invited peril. The Treaty of Cateau Cambrésis would quell the Italian wars, but tranquility exacted a tribute more invaluable than any treasury. The diplomat's men unacquainted with cradling a child, assuaging nocturnal fears, or witnessing the blossom of youthful wonder, appraised the cost with dispassionate accuracy. Not mere lands, though borders would shift, not fortunes, though indemnities would flow. The ransom for peace would be levied in human form, a child. Marriage. The term drifts through her mind like ethereal mist, intangible and alien. At 13, she still cradles her cherished doll in slumber, dashes through labyrinthine gardens with siblings, and trusts that elders safeguard the young from adversity. Marriage to the King of Spain. Whispers of Philip II have reached her in secluded alcoves where servants murmur and attendants trade dispatches from distant realms. The Spanish monarch, twice her age, in subdued voices, they recount his somber disposition, his fervent adherence to faith, his court ensconced in ebon stone corridors where mirth fades into oblivion. Darker intimations surface as well, prompting furtive signs of the cross, accounts of his recurrent maladies, fevers that assail without omen, rumors of his carnal inclination, tales of the Spanish Inquisition, igniting heretics in plazas, while Philip observes from exalted vantage, his ashen visage, impassive amid ascending fumes. Why must it be me? She inquires of her father, King Henry II, her voice diminutive and adrift in the expansive throne room, where their dialogue. His response arrives, swathed in eloquent discourse on honor, obligation, the hallowed duties of lineage, and the prestige of serving France at its apex. Yet the unvarnished verity is stark. Her existence, her unsullied virtue, her untapped potential for progeny, render her indispensable. At 13, Isabel transmutes into a clause on vellum, an imprint in molten wax, a corporeal pledge that France and Spain shall cease their mutual carnage, if only transiently. Her father elucidates the imperative with resonant timbre, fragments piercing her, peace, union, sacred mandate, the welfare of the kingdom. He evokes the legions of French warriors preserved by her acquiescence, the affluence born of Iberian amity, the enduring luster upon their dynasty. Unspoken, however, is the barter of her youth. The metamorphosis commences forthwith, more exhaustive than Isabel could fathom. Vanished are the vibrant robes that mirrored her exuberance, hues that elicited her laughter, textiles that swayed like harmony in motion. In their stead emerge somber black silks in Iberian fashion, laden with ornate stitchery that proclaims opulence. These garments commence the reforging of her essence, constraining her innate vitality into contours deemed fitting for a Spanish sovereign. Extinguished are the pastimes tethering her to juvenile delight. No more pursuits through verdant paths with kin, no concealed games amid tapestry's folds, no languid afternoons immersed in chivalric tales that kindle. Instructors arrive to instill Spanish lexicon essential for endurance in an alien entourage, yet the syllables weigh like pebbles upon her tongue. Each tutorial embeds another fastener in the sarcophagus of her Gallic self. Seamstresses gauge her evolving form with impersonal exactitude, documenting every contour heralding maturity, every line necessitating adjustment to Iberian ideals. These sessions devolve into objectification, morphing her from vital youth to effigy attired for intents she scarcely comprehends. Every etiquette drill erodes her innate vivacity. How to stride evoking deference over assurance, how to articulate conveying obeisance rather than conviction, how to compose her visage in devout serenity amid cardiac fracture from exile and dread. Each doctrine, each amendment, each impeccable reverence is a sculptor's strike, yet the most merciless instruction transpires in a chamber draped with somber hangings, illuminated by flickering tapers casting capering shades upon walls that constrict like sepulchral confines. Isabel, scarcely 14, quivers in her chemise as unfamiliar men with frigid palms scrutinize her akin to chattel at auction. The attestation of chastity, enacted not in compassionate seclusion but before spectators, medics, scribes, Iberian envoys who observe with analytical gaze, perceiving not a petrified child but a geopolitical commodity demanding validation. This ritual transcends medical necessity. It is a spectacle of profound debasement. Her innermost sanctity rendered archival record, her form transmuted into authenticated testament of her worth in matrimonial commerce. The space reeks of masculine perspiration, quill ink, and an acerbic essence, the tang of authority wielded sans restraint or empathy. The Iberian delegates preserve facades of vocational aloofness, yet Isabel senses their appraisal like insidious tendrils upon her flesh. They compute yield on outlay, weighing the Gallic tribute against Iberian aspirations. The healers execute their duty with the curt proficiency of those habituated to distilling females into physiological curios. They discourse of her as though deaf to their words, deliberating her pelvic structure, mammary maturation, the integrity of barriers dictating Spain's acceptance of the pact. Their probes lack tenderness, conclusions inscribed with the detachment reserved for appraising breeding stock. Upon conclusion, as parchments receive signatures and sanguine wax seals, as affirmants signal contentment and depart to relay triumph to overlords, Isabel perches solitary in her quarters and laments not from corporeal ache, though it persists like scald, but from the abrupt, harrowing realization that self-possession eludes her. The maiden who entered harbored delusions of preserving an inner sanctum, a soul's recess inviolate despite imposed facade. The emergent woman comprehended that even her profoundest physicality succumbed to alien inspection and notation. No asylum, no haven, no facet of being impervious to political exigency. The odyssey to Spain unfurls like a dirge across terrains, each league distancing her from homeland's essence. The cortege proceeds with ritual languor, befitting such diplomatic gravity, Gallic aristocrats accompany her to the frontier with pomp evincing national dignity and affluence. At hamlets en route, throngs assemble to acclaim. Yet Isabel beholds their jubilation through apathy's shroud, muting all perception. They laud cessation of hostilities, the bounty her forfeiture shall yield. Youths proffer blooms as elders gesture and murmur of the princess ascending to earth's mightiest throne. None discern the maiden perishing within the gilded conveyance, her countenance fixed in a rictus resembling mortality's mask. The Gallic landscape recedes in verdant undulations and lithic settlements, each milestone tallying her descent. Isabel endeavors to etch all in memory. Cloud formations distinct from Iberian heavens, the timbre of Gallic salutations soon alien, the aroma of native soil evoking infantile solace. At the Bidassoa River's brink, demarcating realms like aqueous abyss, ensues the ultimate rupture, dubbed the Princess's Exchange, a term evoking merriment until its essence unveils. Isabel shall be divested of past affiliations, consigned bereft of identity to Iberian custodians. Her lifelong Gallic attendants halt here, these confidants versed in her culinary. Iberian women await opposite, aliens poised to recast her in their mold. Gallic attire, imbued with domicile's fragrance, chamber warmth, childhood's caress, must be shed. Silks and linens, caressing her in bliss, cannot sully Iberian sanctity. Even intimate linens, beheld solely by intimates, forsake. Gallic gems linking to lineage vanish into crates, repatriating sans her. The modest band from her mother at 12, etched with affection's script, sequestered. The medallion enclosing her sire's likeness, excised. The humble wooden crucifix sanctified by her baptizing Gallic cleric. She traverses the span denuded of self, swathed only in Iberian silk, a braiding skin recalling gentler weaves. Waters murmur below like liminality, twixt existence and extinction, twixt former persona and impending role. Each plank's tread erodes another fragment of Isabel de Valois into the torrent. The Iberian contingent receives her with rite frigid as glacial rock, courtesies executed with automaton accuracy, yet Isabel detects their scrutiny in every gaze. The Iberian traversal exposes vistas alien as celestial orbs from terrestrial norms. Gallic expanses undulate in lush emerald swells, interspersed with woodlands and glistening rivulets under solar benevolence. Iberian topography extends arid and tawny beneath a sun-meeting judgment divine. The terrain itself repels vitality, mirth, the organic splendor once infusing Isabel's realm with awe. Settlements sparse, their denizens etched from identical unyielding stone as abodes regard the procession with inquisitiveness laced in wariness. She is the Gallic consort, eternally alien, conceivably perilous, indubitably divergent. Their stares pursue her carriage with fervor, akin to inspecting rarefied fauna for diversion. Iberian escorts converse in voices grating like forged steel against the lyrical rhythms of Gallic discourse. They appraise her audibly, presuming incomprehension, pondering her robustness for prolific progeny, whether Gallic lineage corrupts successors, whether her manifest dread signals frailty or apt feminine yield. Nocturnal repose occurs in bastions, evoking strongholds over domiciles. Chambers grandiose yet chill, appointed with somber timber and iconography surveilling from walls. Assigned Iberian attendants preserve courteous remoteness, addressing her in calibrated diction, asserting dominion over her milieu. She is perpetual visitor. Madrid's Alcazar looms like bastion crafted by designers equating allure with menace. This labyrinth of passages where murmurs perish in obscurity, where echoes resound like censure, where casements admit gloom over luminescence, shall be abode. Constructed from petrified felicity, colossal, enduring, bereft of warmth. Philip II awaits in the throne hall, and Isabel's inaugural glimpse of her betrothed pilfers her scant respiration. 32 to her 14, emaciated where she blooms, ebon-robed where she yearns for hue. His gaze harbours no ardour, no intrigue, for the maiden journeyed afar to cohabit his realm and propagate his line. He regards her as artisan appraising implement from distant forge, prioritizing utility over aesthetic. The sovereign's aura commands the expanse sans stature's aid, emanating dominion like chill from inferno inverted, siphoning vitality from environs. Retainer's position at calibrated removes, proximate for fealty, distant from inadvertent familiarity. Atmosphere attenuates near him. His address bears scripted monotony, welcoming to Iberia in practiced verbiage denoting gratification with the pact she embodies. Inquiries of voyage, kin, sentiments on upheaval absent irrelevant to their bond. Isabel retorts in drilled Iberian, accent branding her outsider per phoneme, words rasp like grit in larynx, abrasive against native melody. Philip affirms linguistic advance sans curiosity for the struggler mastering alien idiom. The Iberian entourage assembles for this inaugural royal convergence. Isabel, sensing their evaluation like burden upon scapulae. Murmurs deem her frail for maternal rigors, others approve her evident purity, ensuring untainted union. None solicit her thoughts, desires, apprehensions extraneous to dynastic orchestration. She endures as mechanism, personal reactions pertinent solely if impeding efficacy. The nuptial rite manifests with Iberian grandeur's pinnacle. Yet for Isabel, it mirrors her interment. The basilica teems with unfamiliar nobles, visages melding in judgmental expanse. The efficient bishop, her raiment, encrusted with auric filament and gems, oppresses her posture, constricting respiration and locomotion, rendering her emblematic effigy over entity. Each altarward pace demands volition, the trailing hem impedes retreat, as if vestment comprehends her march to ruin. Philip attends altarward with ledger review demeanor, dutiful vigilance on transaction. No smile greets her, no solace proffered. The sacrament is pact ratification, parties enacting with decorum. She utters vows in rehearsed Iberian, each syllable eroding Gallic. The prelate's pronouncement ignites hollow acclaim. Aristocrats acclaim, choristers hymn, chimes, proclaim diplomatic coup across Madrid. Yet Isabel perceives solely spectral fetters clasping limbs, throat, core. That eve, in conjugal sanctum, residual infancy perishes brutally. The bedchamber, meticulously arrayed, features silken drapes emblazoned with heraldic fusion illusory beyond polity. Tapers as Philip nears consummation with empire-ruling solemnity, an imperative validating union and her station. Sans gentleness, sans acknowledgement of the soul within, he enacts with automatism, while Isabel fixates on overhead saints, dissociating psyche from violation. Agony surges instantaneous and engulfing, yet eclipsing corporeal is epiphany. Inception merely. Her form Philip's dominion akin to territorial holdings. Fertility, a commodity optimized. Intimacies surveilled by healers, attendants, fertility monitors. Post-act, Philip retreats sans solace, attiring and exiting like concluded decree, abandoning Isabel amid stained linens and lingering torment, emblematic of status. Dawn displays those linens publicly, affirming pact's fruition. Isabel's seclusion publicized. Anguish politicized. Officials inspect, proclaim French maiden's chastity verified. Court revels as Isabel reposes vacant-gazed, grasping fully her depersonalization. Functionary, provider, apparatus, birthing heirs. Vitality pertinent to fecundity alone. Felicity relevant if impeding conception. Aspirations reclassified extraneous. Subsequent years merge in duty's fog and desolation, interspersed with terror's halting chronology. Isabel masters Iberian etiquette's intricate ballet. Speech sparse, silence perpetual on descent, visage pious amid atrophy like shadowed flora. Spanish fluency attained, yet French her nocturnal soliloquy when insomnia reigns and homeland recollections haunt like spectres. Occasionally Spanish cognition intrudes, fragmenting original self. Childhood tongue hoarded contraband in scrutinized psyche. Philip persists enigma, invading chambers for progeny, sans the fervor of mass or colonial dispatches. Queries of ease, delight, sentiment absent. Intimacy ritualized possession, amplifying isolation. She scans his mien for humanity amid encounters, discovering sole inventory of assets. Iberian court surveils ravenously, calibrating gestures for assimilation. Excessive mirth censured frivolous. Sobriety suspects alien ethos. Existence binary, triumph or defeat at assigned role. Gestations initiate post-nuptials, ushering torment eclipsing priors. Her nascent frame strains under unloved conceptions. Initial miscarriage logged disappointment, queenly dereliction sans inquiry of bereavement. Physical miscarriage anguish, emotional void of dashed purpose, bleed unacknowledged. Healers dissect remnants clinically, optimizing futures. Losses statistical, grieved, solitary, sans empathetic kin or clerics, viewing woe beyond dynastic impediment. Envision her in palatial suites, 14 to 16, hemorrhaging isolated as healers whisper fertility debates, court monitors abdomen agriculturally, prognosticating yields, menses state affairs, corridors buzzing sans her, servants murmur cycles, attendants chart meticulous preferences, clue gender, dreams prophesy, physiology and psyche dissected for yield sans welfare, miscarriages recur devastatingly, blame evading evident, juvenility, trauma, erosion, remedies, phlebotomy, botanics, regimen, devotion, accusations, Gallic heritage, melancholy, impiety, systemic ignored, juvenility burdened dynastically on frail shoulders, healers discourse organs detached from terrified host, machinery requiring upkeep over compassionate entity, interim gestations, Isabel seeks havens averting abyss, music immerses in homeland echoes, lute strings voicing muted sentiments, Iberian minstrels distant, yet melody bridges isolation, chapel hours escape, prayer politicized yet French whispers to divinity confidential, edifice intimidates, Iberian art martyrs, commenting fate, before decapitated Catherine, she ponders martyrdom's dignity, crucifix agony mirrors hers over French Madonnas, kind attendance moments warm fragmentarily, weather or stitchery dialogue sans peril, evoking humanity beyond utility, yet shadows against encompassing solitude, Philip public courtesy formal, denying intimacy, dialogue state, piety, progeny-centric, Philip reviews pregnancies colonially, outcomes paramount, processes indifferent, Isabel Vessel observed sans regard, she déchiffre micro-expressions, distance demande quiescence, tension portant displeasure borne, transparency calculates annulement for fertile substitute. Nobility respects elaborately, masking utility appraisal. French, sovereign alien, valued for dynasty. Council utterances entertained sans import. Silence submissive or deficient per bias. No apt existence. Legitimacy sole childbearing. Years mechanize. Failed gestations. Festivals endurance. Ceremonies symbolic. Mirror reflects stranger. Girlhood softness angular from strain. Eyes resigned sans hope. Attire iconizes. Beautiful abstractly. Untouchable, vacuous. Life quantified births alone. Airless days failures. Pressure omnipresent worth womb, tide. At 17, another gestation. Court suspends breath. Progression kindles perilous hope. Healers monitor incessantly. Symptoms, appetite, vigor. Attendants hover anxiously. Privacy void. Clerics pray airward. Male, ideally justifying disappointments. Body matured sustains with desperate resolve. Fetal stirrings evoke maternal glimmer, not love unreachable, but purpose-redeeming woe. Philip frequents assessing air. Document-like attention sans human interest. Isabel Vessel sans consideration. She hazards hope for respite. Male progeny easing scrutiny, earning esteem, vindicating sacrificed youth. Yet gestation layers suffering. Child empire's future, kicks, stakes reminder, nausea incubator role. Expectations outweigh fetal mass, success dynastic, failure obsolescence via annulment. Healers strategize diet militarily, prescribe positioning exercises, monitor psyche, melancholy interfering. Isabel experiment calibrated air maximizing. Nobility eyes, abdomen predatorily, discussing comprehensibly, robustness, positioning, anxiety's cargo risk. Labor agony unprepared. Hours amid strangers, healers, midwives, officials gender, verifying, preventing substitution. Isabel shrieks French contractions, childhood tongue resurfacing extremity sans control. Chamber uncomprehending, uncaring woe impeding delivery. Maternal pleas French, Godward supplications gibberish to healers viewing clinically sans compassion. Incense sanctifies. Relics protect trappings masking extraction of royalty from Gallic vessel. After 18 exhaustive hours, delirium, hemorrhage, daughter. Palpable dismay, girl alliance, useful, not heir. Isabel cradles briefly pre-examination, value asset, calculated. Further gestations deplete. Daughters, disappointments, bleeding data, logged. By 1568, 22, constitution aged doubly. Illness, Pregnancies, court erode, corridors haunted ghost, like final 1,568 gestation, bodily certainty fatal, labor 2-day brutality, healers debate, officials message Philip, daughter Catalina Michaela emerges, Isabel whispers, fever devours, consciousness wanes twixt palace and French gardens ivory doll play, final utterances French to absent mother, resistance's tongue, simply, I am weary. The 3rd of October 1568, Elizabeth de Valois perishes at 22, 8 years post-teenage arrival, interred royally, tears diplomatic. Philip schemes successor, pre-cooling, history footnotes, heirless French queen, yet recall as child politics sacrificed, life illuminating human toll of instrumental souls sans love. Elizabeth de Valois' tragedy, not youthful demise, but denied life altogether.